Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing 2 alien videos in a row. I don't know if my dinosaur audience is really gonna like that too much, but I don't really care. I like these videos, okay? There's my submission for the best comebacks you've ever heard. Most of my normal viewers probably know Kenner from the time they did the Jurassic Park line back in the early 90s. But Kenner spanned much farther back than just that. In the 70s and 80s, Kenner was also making toys for Star Wars, Marvel, Ghostbusters, and the one we're going to be talking about today, which was Aliens. And as you can see from this image alone, they not only went bonkers with just the aliens, but also the human figures and bigger playsets as well. Despite all this though, this line came out about 6 years after the film hit the theaters. Aliens the movie, which is what Kenner based this line off of, came out in 1986, meanwhile the toy line itself came out in 1992. But even though they were more than half a decade late, they still came through with a pretty heavy toy line. This line was primarily split into 2 factions, one of which being the human characters, which included Ellen Ripley and the Space Marines, and the other faction which was the aliens themselves, the Xenomorphs. And this picture alone is not even a complete set of them. Not including repaints, I counted 18 of the aliens, although give or take 1 or 2. And this line was pretty damn popular for Kenner. It went on to make 4 series. 4 series is? I don't know what the fucking plural tense for series is, but I'm gonna assume it's series is. They went on to make 4 series is, that doesn't sound right, for this damn thing. Oh my fuck. And this line was really popular for Kenner. They made 4 waves of these figures, although by the 3rd one, I think they were done really making original figures. They came out with like 2 that time around, and the 4th wave, original figures, never heard of them. I've used a lot of shrugging images in this video. Maybe it's getting stale, I don't know. But Kenner did have some aliens that they would have released if it wasn't for the fact that they were canceled. This dropship, for example, never saw the light of day, as well as these 2 alien figures, the Egg Alien and Dragonfly Alien. These 2 Xenos would have came out in the Hive Wars series, which we'll get into here in a minute, but first I want to talk about the animated series that this show had planned. So the story behind this is that Kenner approached Fox Kids to make a Aliens TV show based off the figures they were making because that was a popular thing at the time. Fox apparently liked the idea, but a few heads of the company thought that this was a little bit too early to make something like that. In other words, they were just like, yeah, this good idea, let's just throw it the fuck out. But Kenner decided to make some commercials in preparation for this cartoon, which did have animated segments in them. However, because the thing never really got green-lighted, they didn't even air the commercial. Some people believe that these segments were from a pilot that was made. However, this is actually Kenner making all of this. Kenner had a company called ACOM do the animation for this commercial, and if you're not familiar with that name, they're the people behind Animaniacs, Transformers, and Arthur. So to say Kenner was prepared would be an understatement. But Kenner was not done. Similar to what they did with Chaos Effect for Jurassic Park, they decided to make an own separate line for the aliens, which would be the Hive Wars. Funnily enough, this line also came out the same year as Chaos Effect in 1998, and funnily enough, it was also canceled that year, so that's fun. Now, don't let the title of Alien fool you. This line did not just have aliens in it. It did include the Space Marines from the previous waves, but it also had the Predators, which was another Kenner brand. But similar to the aliens that I showed earlier, a lot of the Marines and Predators both did not end up making it too far. Most of the images that we have are just a couple of prototypes that people have gotten over the years. But hey, I guess it came with Red Darkseid though, that was pretty cool. The reason though that Hive Wars did not take off is very similar to the reason Chaos Effect didn't. Because of bad sales. It might have also had something to do with how a certain company took charge of Kenner around this time, and they may or may not have changed up the policies a little bit and kind of thrown Kenner under the bus. I mean, that's just kind of my own speculation, but I think it's a very possible thing that may have happened. Again, I'm not saying this is legit, but I'm also saying that I wouldn't be surprised. To end this video on a high note though, the company NECA would end up making some remakes of these figures in their own scale with more articulation and a lot more detail. And I actually have that Panther Alien remake with me today, and it's actually a pretty good figure. Some of the joints are a little bit too loose while others are too tight, but other than that, this figure is some A-tier shit. But I think that's about as much history as we can put into this video. The Kenner alien line was an absolutely bonkers one, and in my opinion is one of the best Kenner lines that was ever put out. Giving us some ridiculous ideas like a crab alien, a queen facehugger, and probably my favorite, the snake alien, this line was just destined to go places. But that's all I have to say for this video. Now, time to take this mask off. What?